Hey everybody, it's Jillian. Good morning. It's actually really early. Oh my God, it's 6:20 a.m. over here, Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, there's just been so much evolution this last week. It's actually pretty insane. And I finally can now, there's this word called equilibrium that I did liken to like a death because it's like in our society with so many changes going on, there's no way to be in a state of equilibrium. It's like being in a state of static. Like, and it's also the state of equilibrium is very desirable for a lot of people because they've always been working from some kind of unbalanced energy. They don't like feeling the pain. They have a lot of deficits. They're constantly evolving, like they get no relief. And that's why then people take painkillers and herbs and extracts and detoxes because they're trying to find that state of equilibrium, even if it means that it takes away percentages of their life every single day. And so there is a deeper meaning with equilibrium that speaks to, yes, the esoteric knowledge, the Trinity, okay? And it also speaks to then the dark matter, the environment that which life and new ideas are birthed from. Because the only way you can have a new idea or um, a new life is it must come from a point of balance. It must come from a stable foundation. And then the whole thing with the Trinity, equilibrium is two opposing forces that balance each other out. But then the third force, which the Trinity is then the intelligent design to bring forth evolution. That is now what I understand and why the Trinity is the very powerful number, because when you are in a state of equilibrium, you're kind of in a state of just static. And in our society, nobody wants to really be static for a long period of time. Really, in our society, people want to evolve because there's so much to learn, there's so much to do, there's so much to see, there's so much to understand that to be in a static type of state, it's like there's no growth. Okay. And so, new viruses, new ideas, new people, new places, new things are like gods. They are change agents that will take an equilibrium and kind of upset it a little bit and evolve it. And so this is why you see reactions from people when anything new comes into their environment, whether it's a new person or a new idea. They have trouble adapting. Some will have trouble adapting, others will have an easier time. It might be a little jolting at first, but if they're relatively healthy and balanced, they can handle the new information, the new person. But a person who is at a major deficit, who is very rigid in their beliefs and in their cliques and in their ideas and all of that, they will not accept a new idea, much less a new person within their circle of people. And so that's why there's a lot of conflict in our society, is because we have a lot of rigid belief systems and a lot of rigid people who are really at the end part of their life. They're like happy with the way things are. There's no reason to change anything, which is completely okay. But the word equilibrium is exactly what it is. It is a balanced force that then speaks to the static universe, which is Hoyle's theory and also Einstein's theory that there is a static universe. And then, of course, there's the theory of motion, relativity, and all that stuff. But also, but then to bring it to the next level is then the whole thing with panspermia. Like last night, I was just so attached to that word panspermia that I just invoked my dog to have her middle name be Sugar Panspermia Epperly, because panspermia is the seeds of the universe that do give life through vectors. And this is where the whole thing with the vaccines, okay? So you understand on a grander scale what vaccines are. They're vectors of information. They're vectors of life. They are vectors of evolution that, of course, if you can't handle evolution, you're going to have a problem no matter what. Um, And so, yeah, that's why the dinosaurs passed away, because their body wasn't able to evolve to the level of the new environment from the vectors of the meteorites that probably brought in new viruses, new gases, new types of entities that upset the homeostasis of the current environment at the time. And so this is why the dinosaurs died out. Plus, then, yes, all the giants of the earth, along with, I'm sure, some kind of intention with mankind once they figured out how to mess with the human genome. And so, but that's the dinosaurs and the meteorites are way before mankind figured out how to mess with the genome. So you know that something like panspermia came out from outer space because of then the birth of stars and the death of stars. So supernovas and well, yeah, supernovas. I mean, what would cause birth? Well, it would be from death. When a star dies, like a supernova, it creates a huge force of photons and all these different radiation and gases and all that stuff, and it travels throughout the universe. And so what goes in motion stays in motion until it hits objects, and then it starts chemical reactions with objects. And then planets form and moons, satellites form, stars even form, black holes as well. Black holes are the negative part of the universe. And so yeah, so in the universe, the macro level, you have the universe of black holes of the negative, then you have the positive, which are the stars, and then you have the static universe, which holds that stability to allow the positive and negative to reside next to each other. And then you have the third entity, which is the intelligent life that actually brings forth the evolution. It brings forth the death and reproduction of stars and galaxies and solar systems. And so that's why I've been studying so much of the stars, the sun, understand the life cycle of a sun. Not all suns are created equal. We have a yellow dwarf, but it will never turn into a black hole. It'll eventually turn into a cold white dwarf. Sun or stars that actually are supernova are probably they're 10 times bigger than our star in our solar system. So not all stars will turn into supernovas and then black holes. And some stars will eventually, like our star, will turn into, right now it's a yellow giant, turn into a red giant, and then a white dwarf, and then a cold white dwarf. And so a black hole is not going to swallow up a white dwarf or a yellow star. But why did it go after a red dwarf and not completely envelop the white dwarf? Well, because I guess that red dwarf wasn't enough energy. It wasn't enough energy for it to fight against and cause an orbit. Okay, so equilibrium is like an orbit. And that's interesting because when you have binary stars and you have two people who are not completely 100% alike, they're able to, I don't know, reside with each other, hang out together, are compatible. It's because they are orbiting each other. They are a good force of opposing forces that bring forth balance. And so, yes, anything that orbits each other is like basically balance. It's an equilibrium. And so, excuse me. And so anyways, yes. And so in our universe right now, we have a balance. We're orbiting around the sun. I don't see a black hole coming after our sun because our sun is too hot, too bright. It's full of life. And so that's kind of the same way here in society is if you are a bright sun, if you are alive and you are strategic and you are just full of productivity and energy with balance, then death wouldn't really be in your future because, you'll heed indicators, you'll be safe, and you'll be strategic in how you go about doing things. And so natural causes would never ever, and neither would anything really nefarious because, you just watch what you do and you heed indicators and warnings and all that. And so anyways, Yeah, so I had to explain equilibrium because it actually speaks to a larger picture. And then, of course, yes, a mother who is relatively stable will be able to bear a baby, and um, and then from that stable environment will come a little chaos because babies can be very chaotic, as well as the gestation period, which is why people get gestational diseases with gestational evolution, because the baby is taking a lot of nutrients from the mother, of which the mother needs to replace, and needs to replace very quickly and evolve to the level of her environment, as well as the baby needs to evolve to the level of the environment, and the baby is going to take from the mother. And so that makes a lot of sense. And so anyways, yeah, so right now, our society, when you look at just, we had a relative equilibrium in our society, but this new virus became the god. Like COVID-19 became the god. It became the change agent that changed our society into an evolutionary station, so to speak. And what's going to be very interesting, like right now, it's going on in India. You know, that India and the Philippines and what happened in China. I mean, there's a billion people. There's a billion people in India. A lot of them are poverty stricken. A lot of them are in such close quarters. And you bring any kind of change agent, like a god, like a virus, into a very poverty stricken, malnourished society, a virus is going to rip that society to shreds, because people don't have what it takes to handle that aggressive type of evolution, of which is why you're seeing whether it's CNN or other stations talk about the devastation that's going on over there, the lack of oxygen, the lack of PPE, the lack of all this stuff. And yeah, the viruses are the gods. They are the change agents. They are the things that evolve a biodiverse society. And so yeah, so expect that a lot of these third world nations that are very, very closely compact and malnourished, they're going to be devastated by new entities in the environment. I feel the evolution, okay? I mean, my husband feels it when when both, it's not like a coincidence that both him and I had major like calf muscle spasms. Though he had it in both of his legs this yesterday, I had it in one leg a couple days ago. My dog's going through evolution. Though she doesn't get seizures anymore, but she's still going through her evolution. So it's like we all are going to be going through some level of evolution, and it's going to be painful. Okay, a lot of people hold so many predispositions that they're going to feel their evolution, and then their reaction is going to be try to maintain some kind of equilibrium, but that equilibrium is going to actually mean death in their world because of how they apply the remedies and the chemistries to their body, which actually is like a death process. Yesterday, somebody that was in my group a couple years ago, in the 60,000 person group, well, she came back. And I guess, the virus and the environment is ravaging her at this point. And she was saying that prior to the J juice, she would have to plan out her meals because it would be 5 or 6 hours of painful, painful digestion, which means the body is trying to evolve, but her body wasn't equipped prior to the J juice to handle the food supply. So every time she ate, it was the most painful, most excruciating process. And it would be 5 to 6 hours, she said. Well, she said yesterday that she drank like 4 cups of J juice, and her evolution process just from eating, the pain process just from eating, was only 20 minutes. She was like, holy crap, 20 minutes. Imagine she keeps doing the J juice. That process isn't, that whole mechanism of feeling pain while eating won't even exist anymore, but there'll be other issues because people have layers of healing to deal with. Okay? And so your reactions to get to a point of balance through the medical holistic industry is going to cause people's destructions. And so that's why I say, and I think they said it a while back, that equilibrium equals death in a lot of ways, because, there's no way to be, balanced all the time in an ever-changing environment where you bring in a new virus or a new person or a new idea. You're always going to have some kind of evolution, but how you respond to your evolution is going to be the difference of whether or not you live or whether or not you die. And that's the premise of Jilly Juice. That's the premise of my new book, is how you respond to your evolution. And right now we see a lot of people out there with different cultures that are responding to their evolution in such a detrimental way to their body, mind, and spirit that, yes, they are seeing the acceleration of their death process happen faster. What you thought could buy you, what you thought that chemotherapy could buy you maybe 10 years, maybe only bought you 5 years. What you thought, your operations, whatever, could buy you this many years. Well, with this acceleration of the energy in our environment and the new entities coming in all the time, such as these viruses, there's no way you're going to be able to withstand some of these therapeutics. There's no freaking way. And so if you're going to be in pain and you've been in pain your whole life, you might as well have the pain work to your benefit and then live indefinitely, potentially. Yeah, you're going to be in pain, but you already are anyways. That lady was already in pain no matter what, so she had nothing to lose with doing J-Juice. And I don't lie to people. I don't say it's a pain-free process. You'll earn your pain-free equilibrium on some level at some point, but I can't tell you when. Nobody can tell you when. That's why doctors practice medicine, because even their remedies aren't 100%, because the body's still desperate to live. And then when they apply the antibiotics, it may work for a minute because it shocked the system and like, what the hell, and then the body's going to find a workaround. It's going to find a different way to evolve, which is then the pain comes back. And that's why there's so many different strains of pot. That's why there's so many different strains of antibiotics. That's why they have to do so many different, vaccines, because the body evolves, viruses mutate, and people don't understand evolution. And so, Jilly Juice is like the new entity on the market that really is not commodified. It is so free. It's so free. It's so free. But if you're that concerned and that, skeptical of my information, then you got to buy to get potentially convinced my book. But I'm not trying to convince anybody. First it's being open to new information. First it's being open to evolution. And if you're not open to new information or evolution, then don't even bother looking at my protocol. Because I'll tell you what, no matter what, you're going to have to feel your predispositions. And the stronger you are in our society prior to the J-Juice, the harder the J-Juice is going to be, because you have so many biochemical, hormonal types of changes that must go on, so many predispositions that, yeah, you're going to have to take the time. You're going to have to make, your healing process on the Jilly Juice a priority. Equilibrium is earned for a short amount of time until new information comes in. And that's what science is. Science is not about facts. Science is the study of how to get to a particular, goal or intention or purpose. And that could change all the time. We have a purpose to destroy. Well, that's very easy. Just go look at what they offer to you in the therapeutics, because eventually you'll be destroyed by the therapeutics. The outcome is the actual intention. That's what science is that you have a particular intention. Okay, you don't want to feel pain and you don't want to earn it through actually healing, really. So we'll just take out that organ. We'll give you some kind of antibiotic. We'll, do this or do that. And yeah, you'll have some kind of pseudo equilibrium until the body says, hey, I want to live again, and it starts regrowing and you feel pain again and you suppress it again with another antibiotic, another therapeutic, until there's nothing left. And so science can now flip its opinions and flip its truth, say, okay, maybe we all want to live, and now you got to feel pain. Now you got to feel pain. And that's the whole thing with the Jilly Juice. But hey, you have a choice. You can go down the road of earning your pain-free lifestyle and going through the process of evolution, which can be rather arduous, or you can go and try to destroy your body percentages at a time, little by little, until there's nothing left. And so you have choices in our society. You have so many choices. And that is the Freemason creed, is you have choices. So as long as it works within the laws of our society and the laws of life and the laws of death, whatever that is, okay, then you have so many choices. Because even people who don't believe in medicine, they don't necessarily go take medicine. They just let their body ravage itself until there's nothing left, which I don't really believe people should do. So if you're going to do something for yourself because of evolution, it better be life supporting or death supporting, one of the two. You have the two choices: promote your life or promote your death and destruction little by little. And so anyway, so equilibrium is something that, yes, you will earn, at each time. And then here's the thing, even though you've earned an equilibrium where you've balanced out certain parts of your predispositions, when you get exposed to a new evolution, you might feel tired. That's going to be the upset of homeostasis. You might feel tired. Who knows, you might have constipation. You might want to eat a lot of food because of the evolution. And so understand, after you have reversed all your predispositions, then there's new information, new data, new viruses from meteorites, how these comets coming around again, and it's gonna rain down upon us again. And then we have new variants, people in India and people in all over the world that are, mutating viruses. We're going to be exposed to a lot more entities. And if you're not prepared to deal with them in the proper life-giving way, they're going to destroy you. I'm so serious. And so I think that the Jilly Juice came about as a balancing force. Like the universe knew it needed a balancing force of life. Because all the antibiotics and the therapeutics, even though, they've been around forever, they don't work anymore. There must be some kind of form of a chemistry that will promote life and also change the way people look at evolution. And so there's always going to be a balancing force somewhere, somehow, and the universe will always correct itself. And so it happens in nature, it happens in the universe, outer space, it happens inside your body. It happens in families, when you have too much of a very aggressive entity in a family, there's someone that has to say, okay, you're done. You are upsetting the apple cart too many times. You got to go. And when someone throws the piece out, from a family or in a community, something has to be done. And so, but are they throwing, the piece away because of a new evolution, or are they doing it to antagonize, to cause destruction? And that is the discernment based upon your perception of the person. And so sometimes, a person who evolves in a community or a family needs to be on their own and only speak through mediums like Facebook, because not everybody wants that person around, or everybody wants to hear that person's information. So you have the ability to turn them off. But if you're in a family in a house and you're upsetting the apple cart, then it's time for you to go. And that's kind of like, that's the choices everybody has out there, is that you have the ability to turn Jillian off through Facebook. You have the ability to not entertain any new ideas. You have the choice to do whatever. Okay. So anyways, change agents are like the Trinity. They are the gods. You have the two opposites, the plus and the minus, and then that third entity, that's the intelligent design. That's the Trinity. That's why 3 is so powerful. That's why the third eye is your antenna to the universe. And if you don't get your body, mind, and spirit cleared, if you don't get your gut cleared, it's going to be very difficult for you to be guided correctly through to balance. Not necessarily equilibrium 100% of the time, because you want to evolve, but you want to earn those plateaus of equilibrium, because those plateaus of equilibrium are the things that they're going to drive you to keep doing what you're doing. I mean, I could hear the joy in that girl's comment in my group when she's just like 20 minutes of that evolution, when it was before 6 hours. Okay, 20 minutes of pain versus 6 hours of pain on the J juice. Like, you see the possibility. You see she sees the possibility. She can now have a new future. I had to plan my life around my stupid PMS. 2 weeks out of the month, I was like, woohoo, I was awesome. And then 2 weeks out of the month, I was just like at death's door. Okay? That's no way to live, where you have to plan your life around your predispositions. Now, I plan my life around right now the evolution, because these viruses and variants are so aggressive that, I definitely have to work from home, and I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm working from home. But yeah, I mean, if I actually had a job out there, I could still, deal with all the evolution. I would just know that I have to rest, and I have to factor in a lot of different things and reprioritize. Not that I couldn't do it, but, people are doing the J juice and working 9 to 5. Okay. You just got to factor in your healing time. Maybe you don't do certain things because there's taken away from your healing time. So anyways, yeah, equilibrium is like a gift, and then evolution is another gift. And that is also the duality. And then you have the intelligent design that gave you the equilibrium and gave you the gifts of evolution. That's the third eye. That's the threes. Everything in threes. Okay? So I'm going to go, but understand that the third entity, the change agent in any environment, in any community, in any family, in any society, is like an evolution. And you could either run away from the evolution or you can evolve. So as long as it's life promoting. And that's the crux of J juice. It's life promoting. We're not destroying anyone, a person, place, or thing. We are evolving and promoting life. And we got out of the conspiracy world. We got out of the activism. We got out of the politics, religion, and science. Now we're just speaking through the laws of life and the laws of death, and you choose chocolate or vanilla. All right. Bye.